Okay, my name's Leona Trimble and I'm course leader for sports development. It really sits in between two disciplines of sports management and sports coaching. And development, they do a little bit of all of those things. So they might be encouraged to go out and be on the sports field or the pitch and do some of the activity themselves and lead activity. But then they're also going to be looking at the management, the coordination, the development of facilities, resources and people. So it really combines those two disciplines and kind of encompasses those different areas. The course tries to get a balance between sort of the academic discipline and the vocational element. So it's very much grounded in sort of sociological theory and in terms of how sport is related to wider society and how sport can contribute to things like rising obesity, the rising crime in sort of community areas. So it's looking at how sport can be used in that wider sense, but it's also looking at how sport can be developed for sport's sake. So looking at grassroots sport right up to the elite level. So it really looks at kind of both of those areas. It also then tries to encourage students to have a vocational element to it. So students are encouraged to go out into local clubs, to work with local agencies, and we've got a very good working relationship with Preston City Council, with Lancashire Sport, County Sport Partnership, and really try to put the theory that they learn in the classroom into practice. And I think that's really important, that they get both of those disciplines in terms of trying to make sense of it and put it into the real world. It's important that students get both aspects, they get a balance between the theory and the practice. I think that it's important that they get an understanding of what's happening in the real world and that they can put their skills, their knowledge, their experience into real life situations. So they do marketing campaigns for local agencies, they do funding bids for local sports clubs, they go out and do some volunteering and add capacity to the local area. They get a real opportunity to do some hands-on stuff, which I think is important. It's not just sitting listening to what we're saying and being bored, and listening to the same stuff all the time. It's an opportunity to then go out there, explore, learn, develop, solve problems, be creative, and add capacity to the local community. So I hope that gives them a varied experience within our course, that they can encompass lots of different elements that gives them a really enriched experience at UCLan. So for example, in the first year they do club and volunteer development, and built into that is some voluntary experience. So we try to get them to do a minimum of 20 hours. This year the group as a cohort, I think there's 55 students on that module, and they contribute about 1,500 hours, voluntary hours into local community. So that's supporting grassroots sport in and around Preston and sort of in the wider area. Now that is giving them, an experience, enhancing their CV, because they can go out and say to future employers, I've been out there, I've done it, I haven't just learned about it in my degree course. They do have an opportunity to go out on a sandwich year, so between years 2 and 3. They can go and do a year-long placement. We've got 2 students who are out currently in Tanzania in a sports college, and they're doing some coaching and they're doing some teaching out in Tanzania, and that's going to be a hugely enriching experience for them, that they can come back, and then when they come to have interviews and try to gain employment, they'll have that huge, vast experience behind them. So I think throughout our course we develop those kinds of transferable skills that are going to make them much more employable in terms of communication, problem solving, independence of learning, and presentation skills. So I think that we equip them very well to be employable when they graduate. We want our students to really be an asset to potential employers. We want them to be able to hit the ground running. We want them to have that knowledge and skills of what's going on in sports development, what is happening in local communities, what is happening in wider society that sport can contribute to, that sport can be used as a tool to combat those types of issues. We want them to be able to then develop their own skills and put them into practice when they come to be looking for a job, and I think that those skills will stand them in really good stead. I would be encouraging students, if they wanted to continue their studies, to do masters either in sports development or maybe in sports management, because it's still a relevant pathway for sport development students to go into. Students are also encouraged, if they want to work in an educational environment, they can go on and do a PGCE. If students are really research focused, then again we'd be encouraging them to go down the masters and possibly PhD route. So there are opportunities both within this institution and other institutions to develop their study if that's what they want to do. Well, we work very strongly with the Students' Union, particularly in terms of the club and volunteer, because we want to develop links both within the student clubs, so we have students who do volunteering within the university clubs, but we're also working very closely with them in terms of developing our volunteering in the wider community. So we work very strongly closely with the Students' Union. I would recommend this subject because it is it's growing, it's developing, it's current. It's changing all the time. There is money being invested. You can get employment in local authorities, in national governing bodies, in primary care trusts, in schools, in universities. There are jobs out there for people who want to be involved in planning, developing, and providing opportunities for people to take part in sport and physical activity. You're out there with people who love sport and physical activity. It's an environment where people are doers, and it's really for those people who are passionate about their sport, are passionate about creating opportunities for people to take part in sport and physical activity, and for people who really want to make a difference. It's about bringing the sports coaches, the managers together. It's about coordinating, facilitating and creating opportunities for people to do more with their sport and physical activity. I would recommend UCLan because it's a great place to study. It certainly is a great place to work. I think that we have a very strong course that offers students the opportunity to develop their skills, their knowledge, their understanding of the discipline, also to develop themselves both as a person and as a professional. It gives them the opportunity to work with the local community and engage in the real world. And our course also offers some flexibility through our options and our electives that you can develop strands of particular interest to you. So in terms of if you wanted to look at coaching, you can develop a coaching strand throughout the 3 years. If you want to be interested in physical activity or physical education, you can develop a physical education strand throughout your course. If you want to learn about international sport development, we've got that in the second year and we're hoping to develop that further. So I think that we give a sound academic base, we give a vocational element, and we are focused on the student developing themselves throughout the 3 years that they're with us.